Hello, this is Pastor French bidding you welcome to another segment of Daily Bread. We are saying goodbye to 2018 and hello to 2019. There will be all kinds of parties, celebrations, parades, and sports events to kick off the new year. But I wonder how many of us will think about where we are in our relationship with the Father Jehovah. In the Jewish tradition, their new year begins with Rosh Hashanah on the first 2 days of the 7th month, and on the 10th day of the month, which is considered the most holy day of their year, Yom Kippur. This is the day of atonement of sins that have been committed against Jehovah and not sins done against other people. Sins against other people are to be reconciled before this day. I believe this practice is what Paul is referring to in his letter to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verses 1 through 14. For since the law has but a shadow of the good things to come, instead of the true form of these realities, it can never, by the same sacrifices that are continually offered every year, make perfect those who draw near. Otherwise, would they not have ceased to be offered, since the worshipers, having once been cleansed, would no longer have any consciousness of sins. But in these sacrifices, there is a reminder of sins every year. Notice in verse 1, he refers to the fact that these sacrifices could not make the people offering them perfect, or as the word actually means, complete. In other words, they stayed the same. There was no change in their status or condition before Jehovah. Jesus came to change all of that by telling us that we could actually become sons and daughters of Jehovah and be complete in Him. However, it has been my experience that not much has changed in the condition of men. It is commonly taught throughout Christianity that completeness cannot be achieved. I heard a preacher on the radio just this morning say that men cannot live for God. He said, we can't do it. The Holy Spirit must do the living through us. If that is true, then we are essentially being made to live right whether we want to or not. That to me sounds more like a slavery than sonship. Secondly, if that is true, then why on earth didn't Jehovah do that for Adam and avoid all of the trouble down through the ages? Why didn't He do it for Israel instead of asking them to straighten up their lives? I propose to you that Jesus did not come to do it for us, but rather to show us it could be done by giving us the example. I hear Christians say all of the time, I'm just a sinner saved by grace. They believe they are still sinners. How is that any different from the Jews of the Old Testament? They never really believed they were redeemed. How can it be both ways? We are either sons and daughters, or we are not. We are either born again or sinners. You cannot be both at the same time. James refers to this in his letter. He wrote, "Consider it all joy, my brothers, whenever you encounter various trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect effect, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking in nothing." Now, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask for it from God, who gives to all without reservation and not reproaching, and it will be given to him. But let him ask for it in faith without any doubting. For the one who doubts is like the surf of the sea, driven by the wind and tossed about. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all of his ways. That's in James chapter 1, verses 2 through 8. The term double-minded refers to being of two persuasions at the same time, one for the things of the world and the other for the things of Jehovah. It must be one or the other. It can't be both. After all, as I've said before, how hard is it to just be a son or a daughter before the Lord? Jehovah only gave us 10 basic rules to live by. We in turn say it's impossible to keep them. Let me quote them to you. They are written in the 20th chapter of Exodus. "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet. Just how hard is that to do? To quote most preachers, it's impossible unless we are made to do it by the Spirit of Jehovah. I personally don't think the Lord wants a people that he has to make serve him. I think he wants children who do what is right because they love their Father and honor him. What do you think? Thanks for watching. And until next time, remember, give love, give life, give Jesus.